episode is brought to you by Dubby Energy Drink. That's right, Dubby. Their coffee fruit cherry extract is the star of the show. This ingredient is what makes Dubby unique and gives it its laser focus, fast reflex effects, making it perfect for gamers and creators. That's right, gamers and creators. A formula worth bragging about. They've handpicked what they believe to be 10 most critical ingredients for focus and concentration. Dubby contains important aminos and vites that canned energy drinks simply don't have. Attention to what matters. Transparency is important. Their labels disclose full ingredient amounts, and their products will never contain fillers or artificial colors or dyes. Dubby is also sugar free and keto friendly. That's right, keto friendly. So, to get that 10% off, use that code Philly John. That's right, Philly John for 10% off at Dubby, DUBBY.GG. Bryan-jon Laverty. Is that correct? Laverty?
Yes, that is correct.
Awesome.
Not too often people get that right.
Oh, well, I did my best. A little sitting here practicing a little bit.
Yeah,
Bryan
there
John,
you go. There you go.
You're a paranormal investigator, actor, and the owner of Global Ghost Hunt and the Power Post Network Central.
Yeah.
How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
I appreciate you jumping on with me today, man. I
Yeah.
really, really do. So, Parapost, give me a little bit of breakdown on that.
Well, Parapost Network is something that I created about 2.5 years ago. 3 years. Actually, it's going to be almost 3 years. It was an idea that I was just sitting down, strolling through, different social media platforms, and I go, it's funny. The paranormal doesn't have anything like this. It doesn't have a platform that I know we have Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and stuff like that, but you're always searching for it. I came up with an idea that, you know what, we should do a platform. It's a big enough industry that we could do a platform just for paranormal. So I actually called a buddy of mine and I said, listen, what do you think of this idea? He goes, it's great. It's amazing. I go, well, would you want to come in with me on it? He goes, sure. So we started planning and we started developing. We started outsourcing for different templates and because we had no idea what we were doing. And
Right.
And so he found this site that builds templates. And so we tried that template for a soft launch just to see what kind of buzz we would get. And it was okay. But the problem with the site was you weren't allowed to do anything. You weren't allowed to change anything with the site. In order to add something, you would have to buy it and then add it as a plugin.
Okay, like an
for
add-on.
the background of the site, but you weren't allowed to change anything. You can only add things. So he wanted to change the whole setup of the face of the site, and we weren't allowed to. So that really became a struggle for us. And we'd already soft launched for about a month and a half, and we were getting a lot of signups, a lot of people signing up, and it was doing extremely well. So we figured, okay, well, if we're going to do this, let's do it right. And so I outsourced a developer, and he took a look at the site. He goes, well, this, you can't do anything with this site. We can't do anything. So let me build one. So which he did. But the problem was, if my developer knew then what he knows now, he would have never, ever attempted it, because it took him almost 2 months to transfer everything over from that site to the new site when he built the new site. And he said, I would never, ever do that again. It was a pain in the ass. So really, that was a soft launch. And then we really literally launched the site on the 21st of June. And so it'll be coming up on 3 years.
This is an app you can download on your phone, right?
Yes. You can download it through iOS, Android, and stuff like that. The only downside to this site, and what I really want to do with this site, is eventually want to get live streaming on the site, so people can go live on the site. And that's the only downside, because a lot of people like live now, and obviously for obvious reasons. So that is the only downside, but you can still go over to the site, you can upload pictures, you can upload your stories, you can do whatever you want to do on the site like you would do with any other site. But we've had a few hiccups over the last couple of years with hosting. Hosting is a real pain in the butt,
Mm.
and finding a good host is a real pain in the butt. I was with a host. I won't say their name, but I was with a host for a year and a bit. They were horrible, horrible hosting service. This is hard to believe when I tell this to people, but in 1 month alone, it went down 143 times
Holy shit.
their servers. Like
Yeah.
that's 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 rarely happens, but it happened with this hosting. So, and I was stuck with them for a year. There's really
Is
nothing I could do.
is this like a monthly subscription thing you could do, or what is it? Is it free?
Parapost
And
Network is completely free. Completely free. You just download the app and you go in there and you can follow other people. You can become friends with other people. But the great thing is, the way I have it on the site, it's not one of those things where you go in like Facebook where you have to friend somebody in order to see their stuff, especially if they're private.
right.
With this site, it's a real community. And when somebody posts something on the timeline, everyone sees it,
Oh,
just
that's
not
cool.
your friends. Everyone sees it. So
What do,
stuff like
what are
that.
you what are you
Yeah.
standing at now as people that are signed into this and on it? How well is it
It's
going?
about it. It slowed down over the last year because of what happened because of that host.
Okay.
The site was going down a lot, but
Mm,
we just have around 2,000 users on the site right now,
that's good.
and yeah, it's not bad. It's not something that I thought was gonna be like Facebook status or
Right.
Twitter status or Instagram status. It was just mainly a site just for people to go to that they converse with other paranormal investigators or cryptids or supernatural or UFOs. And that's really what the site was about. But now I am thinking a lot larger now. So what I want to do is I'd love to get live streaming on the site. That site is going to come down. We're actually going to have a site made from scratch. This site right now is basically under WordPress.
Okay.
So we're going to actually have a site built from scratch, and it's going to be my own site, and with that you have more flexibility on what you can do on the site. So, and then we're going to put in a live streaming, which is what a lot of people want right now on the site. They keep on asking me, when are you getting live? When are you getting live? When are you getting live? So it is in demand. So I figure once that live goes up there, the site is going to skyrocket like no tomorrow. We'll probably have, I would say within 6 months, we'll have a couple of million instead of a couple of thousand.
Oh,
So
fantastic.
that's when you're getting into sponsors and advertisers and all those things that really
Yeah.
help
Well,
develop any site. So
sponsors for you. Are you grabbing sponsors to help, like advertisers, things like that are in that situation
yeah,
where they
you can actually go into the site and you can actually advertise on the site, and with obviously a cost. But you go in there, you go in the header or in the three little lines that are up in the top right hand corner. And then something will come down and it will show to advertise with us. So if you want to advertise with us, you can. But really, again, it really wasn't about going after large amounts of money or any money for that matter. It
just
was
building
really
that connection?
it was building the network. It was building a community that we're always trying to do in the paranormal community. The old word para unity. Not a
Mm.
huge believer in it, but I understand its concept. And that's really what I was trying to do with Parapost Network Central. But now I'm starting to think bigger and I want to get live streaming on there eventually once we get that new site up there. Now, as you know, a site like that is going to cost money,
Oh
and
yeah.
it's going to be a lot of money. Like you'd be surprised how much money it would cost. But to have the live streaming up there, you're looking at a monthly cost for that as well. And And if I'm going to do something like that, I'm going to have my own servers.
Yeah.
And servers range from 50,000 and up.
Jesus.
So, and I'm going to need enough of them to have a platform to run like that, where you're going to have a lot of people streaming lives, whether it's like shows like yours,
Hmm.
um, paranormal investigations, other vodcasts and stuff like that. It's going to take a lot of, it takes a lot. And you're looking at 20 or $30,000 a month for
Holy
that type of
crikey.
stuff. But, obviously as we go on in the tech world, things get cheaper and things get easier. It was suggested to me the other day, there is a way for me to do it without forking out that money right at this moment right now. But again, bandwidth with a site like this, it it goes very, very quickly. Very quickly. And especially when you have live streaming, like
Yeah.
it's used like that. So you have to be really careful. And it's funny, people don't take that into account when you're building a platform like this. Yeah, I'm gonna have live streaming. Well, unfortunately, it's not that easy. And if you have 30,000 people visiting your site a month, that takes up a lot as well.
Oh yeah.
So there's a lot involved with this. Yeah, I would love to have sponsors. Yes, I would love to have advertisers that would, or maybe even a backer to come out and say, listen, I really love your idea. What can we do to make this happen? Well, this is what we're going to need. And if they're willing to back that, I'm willing to give shares of Parapost just to get that to happen. Because I think once it gets to that stage and where I want it to be, Parapost will grow. And it's great for enthusiasts too. Enthusiasts can sign up as well.
Right.
So once you get the live streaming on there, it's just going to skyrocket. But then the long-term goal is to have Global Ghost Hunt on there as well.
Yeah. Well,
So
let
yeah,
let's talk a little bit about Global Ghost Hunt, man.
yeah.
Because I was reading up on a little bit of it. Give us a little in depth onto your Global Ghost Hunt, because it sounds pretty freaking cool, man. I'm not gonna lie, it sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, you know what? It's interesting. I was with another group that does something similar, but we're a lot different from them, if that makes sense. But Global Ghost Hunt really started with an idea in my head from another group, um, but I wanted to make it bigger and better.
Hmm.
So I was with this other group for a couple of weeks. To be honest, I just didn't like anything about it. I didn't like all the fighting in the background. The drama. I didn't want anything to do with it. So I ended up leaving. And because originally the reason why I was there is I was planning on purchasing it
Mm.
and taking it over and then creating my own thing. But I said, why am I going to go spend money when I can just create my own?
Mm.
And is which I did. So basically, the Global Ghost Hunt for me personally, and for a lot of the people on the team as well, the admin team. Well, I'm a big advocate of locations, and unfortunately, in the paranormal fields, locations seem to be disappearing every single year, and for various different reasons. Whether it's vandalism, whether it's they can't afford to keep it open, or whatever it may be, that's what I'm an advocate for, to save these locations. So really, Global Ghost Hunt was about the preservation of these locations. So if the location came on and then nobody really heard of, but they were struggling to stay open, we would give them the recognition, we would give them the exposure that they needed to get people to investigate their location, which I can proudly say is happening now, even with the last two events that we had, which was in October and last May. We had
Where
locations coming on that
where were
nobody
they?
had ever heard of. What's that?
Where were
There.
they?
Oh well, we had so many different locations. Like for one location that we had was it was a brothel. It was a brothel, and it's a very haunted brothel, and that was one good place. There was another place called the Victorian View, which is an amazing location, but they weren't getting anybody out to their location. But now
Mm.
with the Global Ghost Hunt and the exposure they've gotten, now they're getting bookings. Now they
Hmm.
now they don't have to worry about, how they're going to pay their bill the next month. Yes, the teams are important, but the
Right.
locations are more important, because if we don't have locations, we don't have paranormal investigators. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
So that was
Well,
really my goal.
how many
So
years you been doing this now?
Global Ghost Hunt, last year was our first year.
Okay.
Yeah,
And it's going well.
it went well. The Maze event, we had just under 136,000 views over the 10 days. And then October's was just under 200,000 views.
Fantastic, man.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
so it's going well. And we hit in last May we had 20 teams. In October we had 25 teams. So, and the bonus thing is that some people don't realize, yes, we're over 10 days, but one of the reasons why I did 10 days was because there's a lot of these locations where you can't go live. Yeah, you can
Mm.
just film. So people can go in there and film a few weeks before or a month before, film their 2 hours, send it to us, and we share it across the globe.
How how long you been involved in the paranormal? Did you have an experience yourself that drew you to this, or is this something you just kind of like fell into as time came on?
Well, a lot of people know this of me. This is something I kept hidden for a very long time. I'm able to see spirits. I started seeing spirits when I was about 9 or 10 years old, and really didn't understand what it was. But when I see a spirit, it's usually a black mass, and
Hmm.
can hear them. I can't see facial features, but I can see if I know if it's a guy or a girl right off the bat. I just know. So I see them all the time now. I don't like to use this word because I think it's overdone and overused, and that's the demonic word.
Hmm.
I don't like it, but I have seen demonic in my life, but not as often as some of these TV shows that see it every week. Doesn't happen. It's not reality. It's not real. Um, so I've seen about 5 in my lifetime. So when I see something that's demonic, that it's usually a translucent black smoke that moves around the around a room very slowly, like it owns the room. So, and I've only seen
Let me
5 in my life.
let's
So,
go back to something you just said,
yeah,
the whole TV thing.
yeah,
You're in Canada, am I
yes,
correct? I'm in the States. There, I feel as TV is saturated right now with all these different paranormal shows. Everybody's doing something. And I guess years ago, I would say I started watching one. I'm not going to name names of any shows,
yeah,
but
that's fine.
and then another one came along, and now it's every time I turn around, there's another show popping up and another show popping up. Do you think that's drawn more negativity or positivity to the paranormal field?
Uh, for me personally, it's drawn more negative, and I'll say, and I'll tell you why is because, as we know, if you're watching these shows, they're supposed to be entertaining. They're not
Mhm.
real. Majority of these shows do not show it's fake.
Mhm.
Put it plainly, it's fake. And but it's for entertainment value. And I think that's hurting us as real paranormal investigators. And that's one of the reasons why when you look at the Global Ghost Hunt and you're watching a video, this is why when you record a video, we don't want any captions. We don't want any massive edits. We don't want any, glitches. We don't want any music. We want straight 2 hours of footage and that's it. And we want to show that. The problem is if you're not catching something within the first 5 or 6, 7, 10 minutes, people are gone. And
Right.
most of these shows, they capture something within the first few minutes.
Right.
There's a very popular YouTube that's on YouTube right now that if you watch his videos, something always happens within the first 6 minutes on
Really?
every single video. And that's because, now I'm not saying he's not a stupid person, because he's a smart individual for doing this, for recognizing this. Because within the first 5 or 6 minutes, if you haven't captured anything, people tend to leave, they tune out.
Mm.
So he's captured that audience that when he knows within 4 to 6 minutes, he's got to put something in there. And it's fake.
Right.
It's fake.
Yeah.
And that's really hurting our field, because as real investigators, we're out there searching for evidence and trying to capture and get those answers on why they're still here, why they haven't crossed over, or what the other side is like, or whatever it may be. They are definitely putting a negative, what do you want to say? A negative, uh, I don't even know what to say. It's very
Yeah.
negative towards us as real
Well,
paranormal
let
investigators.
let me ask you, what? Okay, so I watch these shows. They're using all this different type of equipment.
Yeah.
You've got these spirit boxes now. They're constantly carrying these recorders, these what are, these infrared type things where they can see shit, where they
Mm,
then they have these one cameras where they shoot out like all these little green dots all over that
yeah.
pick up shit. Honestly, is this serious shit that they're using, or is this just for show?
Yeah. Well, I will let you know that usually that green dot thing it's like a pen. It's not like it. Maybe some have cameras. I'm not, to be honest. I'm not big on all the equipment. I'm a very very simple person. I definitely like paper and pen. That seems to have disappeared completely.
Yeah.
I like
Well,
my
I'm
recorder.
a tattoo artist.
Yeah.
Okay. And I've been a tattoo artist for over 20 something years. And
Yeah.
I'm old school
Yeah.
pencil, paper, and
Yeah.
stuff. And it was
Yeah.
just a little over a year and a half ago where I upgraded to an iPad. And everybody's like, Philly, hey, old man, when you going to upgrade to, the new age, the technology? So
Yeah.
that's what I use now is it,
Yeah.
but I'll still bust out a pen and paper and kick
Yeah.
out some
I
old school
also
designs.
Yeah, I love the recorder. And to be perfectly honest, I use this recorder on my phone,
Okay.
and I'm telling you, some of the stuff that I picked up on the recorder on this phone has been absolutely incredible. And I like I don't know if you know this, but they call me the SB7 whisperer. I'm a huge I'm a huge fan of the SB7. I've captured some amazing evidence on the SB7. And obviously my camera. That really is about it for me. I'm not into the SLS. I'm not into the REM pods. Like I do have a REM pod that was specifically made for me. Um,
What
but
is a REM pod?
a REM pod is where that round, that black, and it's got a red top and it's got an antenna. And if you
Yeah.
go near it, yeah, that's basically a REM pod. Basically, and I'll be honest, the REM pod for me, I'm not a huge fan of because it can be easily set off. If you get close enough with it with your phone, it can go off. If you're in the next room and and there's carpet
Well,
and you're
that picks
walking.
up like the electromagnetic fields
Yeah,
around, am I
the
correct?
electromagnetic
Yeah.
fields, yeah. So, let me put it this way, if you're in the room next door and it's got carpet and you're walking on the floor in your socks, the REM pod will pick it up.
That's static.
Yeah, it will
Yeah.
pick it up. If a bug flies on it, it will go off. Yeah, I there's a lot of people. Hey, listen, at the end of the day, there's a lot of people out there that love using all this fancy equipment, and power to them. If
Yeah.
that's what they want to do, that's fine. But me
What about these
personally,
spirit boxes? These spirit boxes that it sounds like all that static and then
at
the
the
voices come.
SB7, that's what the SB7 is.
Okay.
It's basically what it's doing is just sweeping through the frequencies of all the radio stations in the area. And that's when they say ghosts or spirits can manipulate that frequency and
Okay.
able to talk through the box. That's what an SB7 is. It's basically a transistor radio. Have you ever seen an SB7?
Not in person, no.
No, I should have brought one. I got one right behind me actually, and it's great. It's just like a little transistor radio with an antenna. I tend
Hmm.
not to put up the antenna, but
Right.
it sweeps. You can go forward, you can go backwards in the sweeping, and you can depending on what kind of sweep you want, can go from 100 to 250. I'm usually in the 200 area, but I know a lot of people like using AM. I prefer FM. I get a
Okay.
lot more responses through FM than I do AM, but the that's where I got my name because the SB7 Whisper, I've captured so much evidence off the SB7. Like I was in a location where, I've been in several locations where I'm getting absolutely clear responses from the SB7, and it's incredible. It's some of the responses I get. So that's
So
where
you
that name comes from.
so a lot of these so-called shows, I personally I take it for entertainment value.
Yeah,
And and that's what it is. It's entertainment, and it's there to give you that, oh, did you see that shit? And blah 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 blah.
exactly.
And I I just honestly wanted to know how much of that would be actually true. If it's really happening like they think it's happening, or I I do believe in certain shit.
Yeah.
Me personally, as a child, I saw a full body spirit of my grandfather,
Oh
and
wow. Okay.
he
Cool.
passed away, and I was young, man. I was
Yeah.
just knee high to a duck when this happened. And my grandfather worked on the railroad, and I saw him at the bottom of our street, and he was standing on top of the bridge, the railroad bridge, and he looked down at me, and that was it. And he just vanished like a blink of an eye. He was gone.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was something in my mind or whatnot, but to this day, I still say it was something. It was a vision I saw of him.
Mm,
I know I've heard things. My daughter has heard and seen shit in our house. Now, nobody's ever passed away in our house.
mm,
Nobody's ever died. But behind around the corner from our house, we have a segregated cemetery.
okay.
Okay. And she kept saying that she kept seeing some type of man in the house at night. So we talked to the previous owner of our house. Anybody ever died in the house? No, nobody ever died. I said, okay. So we had somebody come in, we did some sage and some blessings and things like that, and it went away. He stopped coming, and my daughter never seen this shadow
Okay.
figure again.
Okay.
But I do believe in the afterlife in some sense, and it's one of those things. I don't see shit all the time, but I've heard stories from other people where they've seen things
Mm.
very, very like in depth and detailed. Like I was like, holy shit, man, I would have shit my
Yeah.
pants if I seen or went through something like that, you
Yeah,
know?
that's funny. And um, hey, listen, it could be a family member. It could be somebody from the graveyard if it's not too far from you, which probably not likely, but you never know.
Mm,
It could have been somebody that was brought home by mistake, not knowing. It could be somebody that died on that land
right.
that's there. So there could be multiple reasons, but if you saw your grandfather, maybe it's your grandfather. Who knows? It could be several different reasons why your daughter saw it or why it's there. And that right there, John, that
Mhm.
right there is what I love to find out why
Yeah.
it's there. Though I'm like I put paranormal investigators in three different categories: the
Okay.
hunter, the ones looking for the answers, and the scientific.
Mm,
I'm the middle. I'm the
okay.
one looking for the answers. And I want to know those answers. I want to know why the spirit is there in the first place. Well, like what brought it there? Was it a family member? Did it die in the land? Did it just walk by and say, "Oh, pretty house, let's go in there." You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, yeah.
you know,
Exactly, man.
and that's who I am as a person. I'm always looking for the answers, and there's been multiple times where I've gone into a location and found out those answers. And let me give you one little story, okay? There's
Yeah.
a very famous place here in Canada that even some of the people from YouTubers from the States have gone there because it
Okay.
is a very famous place, and it's called the Streaming Tunnel.
The
And there's
screaming tunnel?
yeah, the Streaming Tunnel. There's multiple stories of why what happened to this little girl. Okay,
Mm,
so there's one story that her parents were going through a nasty divorce. The father set the house on fire. The girl was still in the house. She ran down to the tunnel, died from her burns. Okay.
wow.
Then there's another story of a man that kidnapped a girl that sexually assaulted her in this tunnel and set her body on fire to cover up any evidence. And then there's another story of possibly the father killed the daughter in the tunnel. There's multiple stories of what happened in this location. So I've been there like 5 or 6 times to just try to find the answers. And
Hmm.
there was one particular investigation when I was there. I was doing an SB7, and this is what I'm saying, the SB7 whisperer.
Right.
So I was doing the SB7, and I literally said, "Did you die in this tunnel?" And I got yes, yeah, and then yes again. And then right after that, I got burnt at home.
No shit, man.
Yeah.
I
And
grew up in Philadelphia,
yeah.
Pennsylvania. There are some seriously crazy areas that you can go. One of the famous places I believe in the city would be Eastern State Penitentiary. That's where they housed Al Capone for a while. And
Yeah.
I've seen some shows do some things on there and whatnot, but I've also had friends of mine who would go there on tours because you could take a tour of that place. And as soon as they walk into that facility, there's like this heavy, heavy weight that comes on you. And it's just like you feel as though there's something there with you, there's something
Mhm.
watching you, and it follows you the whole damn tour. And you're just like, what the hell is going on? I mean, it's one of those, it's creepy, but
Mm,
it's a wild spot.
yeah. I was my very first experience on being touched by a spirit was when I was about 15 years old. And I had a buddy's his grandmother had passed away. And so I went down to his place for it was about 3 weeks after she passed away. And we went downstairs to the bedroom. We were just talking. And all of a sudden I felt like what was a hand on my wrist. And
Ooh.
then I felt like what was a shoulder or a head on my shoulder. And it lasted for about 30 seconds and then it disappeared. But during that time, I told him that something was touching me, and he didn't believe me. But what's interesting about that, and I'm sure you've heard this, but a lot of people say when they're touched by a spirit, it's usually a freezing cold or a cold feeling.
Yeah.
This was a very warm, loving feeling that
Hmm.
it was very warm. And during those 30 seconds, I looked to my left and I told my buddy, I go, dude, there's something touching me. And there's something beside me, sitting beside me. Because he lied. So I told him to look over. There was an actual indent in the bed.
You know, man, I had a buddy of mine. He was married and he was in bed one night with his wife, and it had to been like 2, 3 in the morning, he said. And he said he's like, why are my feet cold? And he woke up. Somebody was sitting at the end of the bed in between him and his wife. And when he like he got startled, man. Like he
Mm,
just jumped. And then you could see the indentation in the bed just come up. Like you could see the person get up and
mm,
just and it was
yeah.
just like, and I didn't know
Well,
what this, I was like,
yeah.
whoa.
Yeah, and that's, it's kind of a similar experience, but what we determined during that time, because when his grandmother was alive, she used to do that to me, put her hand on my wrist and lean against my
Right.
shoulder. So we figured it was his grandmother just saying goodbye, and it lasted for about 30 seconds, and then it was gone. It disappeared. It never happened again. And it was very close to the family and very close to the grandmother, and it was just that was a really really amazing experience. And it's just something I'd never ever forgotten, and I've told that story many times. And it's just it's an amazing moment for me, and that's when I was about 15 years old. So yeah.
Back in September, my wife's uncle lived with us, and he was living with us for a few years. I was in Michigan doing a guest spot tattooing.
Yeah.
My phone dings. We have this app on our phone called Life 360 where we can track the kids, make sure we know where they're going and whatnot, you know.
Yeah.
And my phone goes off. It's like 3:30 in the morning. I call my wife. I'm like, "Hey, what's going on?" She's like, "I'll call you right back." Her uncle was having some serious abdominal pains. He
Yeah.
woke up. And he was like, "Can you take me to the hospital?" Blah 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 blah. And all in all said and done, he ended up passing away from an aneurysm in his belly.
Oh, wow.
So we were sitting at the house. It was probably about a week or so after his passing, and we're sitting there, and me and the kids, and my son is 11, my daughter is going to be 10. We're sitting in the living room. We're like, all right, well, we're going to watch Harry Potter on the TV. Now, Uncle Gene never seen Harry Potter, didn't want to watch Harry Potter. He didn't want to, be around Harry Potter, whatnot.
Mm.
So we go to sit down to watch this, right? And this was one of the things I kept telling the kids is no matter what movie we clicked on, it did not want to play. It did not want to come on the
Oh,
TV. It
wow.
did not want to show,
Wow.
right?
Yeah.
But the show that he liked to watch would come on with no problem. I was like, that's Uncle Gene telling you right now he didn't want to watch Harry Potter in the house. And the kids are like, what?
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man.
I've had I think it was, what was it, a year and a half ago? Yeah, a year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago, I was at White Hill Mansion and in New Jersey. And that was it was an amazing experience. I would say they say White Hill Mansion is one of the most haunted spots in the States, for one of the most haunted houses in the States. I
Mhm.
would disagree with that, but I definitely have my opinion about the place. I definitely think it's haunted. Unfortunately, with the tour guides, and hey, listen, the tour guide that we had was amazing, but his stories were so far out there that I was
Right.
going, okay, come on, dude, like, come on. So anyway, we did the tour. We were doing the tour. In the middle of the tour, we were in this one particular room, and I started walking towards everybody where everybody else was walking towards, and all of a sudden I felt like I was walking through cobwebs,
Oh,
and there was no cobwebs around. Well, apparently that's one of another indication that you're being touched, is if
really?
you're walking through cobwebs. It feels like you're walking through cobwebs. Yeah, it was a really, really interesting experience. I will say, on a scale of 1 to 10 for that place, probably maybe a 4, maybe. But yeah, and to be honest, I've really never been touched that I've never really been touched a lot.
Hmm.
And uh, and those that one story that I said earlier, that's like something I'll never ever forget, because it was an amazing moment. But that one at White Hill Mansion, yeah,
Yeah.
that was an interesting experience too. And
Well,
somebody was standing in front of me, and I said, uh, "There's no cobwebs," and I feel like I just walked through cobwebs, and like all over my face. And they go, "Really? You've just been touched?" I go, "Well, yeah, I've heard that story before, but I don't know if it's true or not. That it feels like when you're touched, you're walking through cobwebs. I'm not sure, to be honest, but hey, it
c-
is what it is."
can you describe a challenging investigation that you did with people?
Challenging I don't think I've ever really had a challenging investigation. Well, I would say the most challenging, if I in the last couple of years, and I talk about this place too, because again, it's one of those places where you hear all the stories on how haunted it is.
Hmm.
And there's apparently in the basement there's a gate to hell. And
Oh, a dimension.
yeah, and it was like, I get there and I go, first thing I do is I walk into this place and I go, really, this is it? It was Bobby Mackey's.
Okay.
And very, very, very overrated. Very, very overrated. If I were to get on a scale to 1 to 10, I would say 3.
Really?
And that's being nice. It was a very, very challenging investigation, because one, all the stories that
Right.
everybody's talking about, the gate to hell in the basement, which by the way was created by that TV show
Yep.
guy. I won't say
Yep.
his name,
I
but
know.
that's really what it was. That's who really created that, and it just snowballed from there. And
Th-
like we
what if is it me? But I've noticed that a lot of that in some of those episodes. There's
yeah,
always a gate to hell. There's always a portal. There's this. There's
yeah.
that, and it's just like I.
Can I be honest?
Yeah.
If that guy were really to encounter a demon, I guarantee he would leave. Or he'd
Yeah.
be sitting in a corner sucking his thumb going, "Mommy, get me out of here." but like it's just it's just ridiculous. And this is what we talked about earlier. These are the type of people that are putting real paranormal investigators on a bad note,
Right.
because if we do an investigation, we don't capture anything in that whole night. People are going, well, that video is boring. Well, that's real paranormal investigation. It's not like what you're seeing on YouTube where they're seeing something or hearing something every 6 minutes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well,
It's just,
how many
it's
times have you
ridiculous.
how many times have you gone to a location somebody's told you about and you get there and you're like, you know what, this is all bullshit?
Yeah. I would have to say that was Bobby Mackeys, to be honest.
Really? Yeah.
I'm not saying there's nothing there. There is something there.
Okay.
I don't know if Carl's really there, to be honest.
Right.
Carl's the guy that apparently was
Yeah.
possessed there in the bathtub. By the way, that bathtub is absolutely disgusting. So, like there's like an inch of dirt in it. So, but apparently and there's rumors Bobby Mackey's is closing or it's being renovated or whatever's going on there. But I would have to say Bobby Mackey's was probably the most overrated place that I'd been to, that I'd seen. And it's ridiculous. Now, like I said, there is something there. There's something
Okay.
definitely there. But a gate to hell. We were doing a session downstairs, a voice recorder or a voice recording session, and we asked it. The person I was with asked, "Is there a gate to hell here?" Well, we actually captured an EVP saying no.
Okay.
Now, there was a couple of other people that was with us at this investigation, that they were with other people at the investigation at that place as well, and they actually captured no as well when they asked that question. So that kind of tells you, I stood in the hole.
You're
Nothing
still
happened to
here.
me. Yeah, nothing happened to me.
You mean
But
you're not going outside to get deep breaths and like, oh,
yeah,
I have to
yeah. Well,
regroup and
and
focus
you know what?
myself, man?
Yeah, you know what? There's a story that I just don't understand with that place and how it, apparently this woman named Johanna was killed, and
Mm,
she was killed like a couple of kilometers from that place. And apparently her head was thrown in the well.
okay.
And that's why, and this is, but first of all, like she was killed a couple kilometers away. So why would she be there? And how would they be able to take her head and put it in the well without being noticed? like like a lot of it, and to be perfectly honest, I did a lot of research on that place before I went there, and a lot of those stories there have never ever been confirmed.
There,
Never
there,
ever been confirmed. So
there was a there was a location my wife and I went to. I forget what the name of the place is, but it's in Vegas, just
okay.
outside of Vegas. It's like a little ghost town. And if I am correct, so the wife of the main actor from Gone with the Wind, his wife died in a plane crash hitting a mountain out there.
Okay.
And they turned it into some type of hospital when they were doing all this. I could be off on this a little bit, but
Mhm.
I know they did some investigating in this bar, restaurant, or whatnot, and it was supposed to be haunted. Now, my wife and I, we went there. Let me tell you something. You could feel something when you walk into that joint. I mean,
Yeah.
it's pretty wild. It still has that old remnants of the West, and it's I don't
Mm.
know if you know what I'm talking about,
No, I'm
but
not sure of that place. Send me the name of that place. I'd definitely
yeah,
be
definitely,
interested.
definitely, man. I'm trying
Um,
to just
well,
trying to.
there's another place that I'd love to go to. That's very popular is Tombstone, and
Oh,
yeah, Arizona, probably one of the
my
most
wife and I
haunted
were doing a
towns.
road trip out to Arizona
Yeah,
this summer with the kids. We're going to go out there. My in-laws, my sister-in-law and brother-in-law live out there, and they're getting their sons graduating high school. So we're going to do a road trip out there, the wife
excellent,
and I and the kids. And
excellent.
that's one of the few spots that and Roswell.
Oh, that yeah. We had some investigations with the global ghost hunt there,
Oh,
and
wow.
yeah, the graveyard.
Nice.
And there was another location. I can't recall the name now. We've had a few places from Tombstone with the global ghost hunt, especially this past October. But great spot. I'd love to go there. There was a plan for me to go to Tombstone in April and May, for the Paracon, but unfortunately that got canceled.
Okay.
So, yeah, so definitely I will eventually definitely get out there at some point. So I've been to a few
Hey,
places in the States. So
have you ever? What are your thoughts on the Skinwalker Ranch?
none. I have no
No.
thoughts about it whatsoever. You know what? Like, I'm not. Oh God. I don't want to get myself in trouble here. I do have an opinion about cryptics or cryptids or whatever you want to call them.
Hmm.
I definitely have my opinions on that. I'm like you with the spirits. I'm
Right.
kind of the same with see, I've seen spirits, so I believe in spirits. I've never seen a cryptid. So I would have to see one
I
in
gotcha.
order to see it. But the problem is, and I find this really, really interesting, especially with the cameras today, especially with phone cameras. Every time somebody takes a picture of a UFO or a Bigfoot, it's always so pixelated.
It's
And I don't
blurry. It's
understand. Like,
it's
okay,
so
I
funny.
understand the 70s. The
Yeah.
70s and 60s, I understand it's pixelated because you're focusing in there. But the cameras today are like even the phone cameras,
Hmm.
like are better than some of the professional
Well,
cameras out there.
it's so funny you say that because I just did an episode with a gentleman and I
Yeah.
was just talking about that, and I was like, the technology and the advancements that we have now, we hold a full size fucking computer in our hands.
Yeah.
Okay, the camera quality on 4K, man, like you
Yeah.
can zoom in really good. Now, if I'm correct, I believe, uh, I don't know, is it Samsung or one of these phones put out? It's so good, man. You can zoom into craters on the moon.
Yeah, the my Samsung can do that. My
It's
Samsung is and it's a 21, but I heard the 24 is even better for when
mm.
it comes to the cameras. But there's 5 cameras on this phone. Like
Yeah,
and it's all integrated into one, obviously, but the camera, like a lot of people are doing their investigations and putting them up on YouTube with the
yeah.
phone camera. And the quality is incredible. So why every time somebody takes a picture of a Bigfoot or a UFO, it's always so pixelated?
Yeah,
Like
pixelated,
it
blurry.
doesn't make sense, but um
As I
obviously
stated,
yeah,
I stated this before,
yeah.
I keep an open mind for people,
Oh yeah.
and I have to. And it's just one of those things. Everybody sees things differently
Yep.
and they feel things differently. And I'm not here to judge anybody.
No, of
And I'm
course
not
not.
I'm not here to criticize anybody or anything like that.
Yeah.
I'm here to hear your story, what you have to say, and let your story be spread out to everybody else. And that's why I'm here. And like
Yeah.
I said, I'm not here to judge. I want to hear what you have to say. And then I want to put the word out. Hey, listen to
Oh,
this
of
person.
course.
Check out this story.
No, I have friends that are like big advocates on searching for Bigfoot. Power
Right.
to them. If that's what they enjoy, by all means, go ahead and do it.
Yeah.
And like you, I'm the same way. I don't judge on what people believe in or what they have a passion for. And, so for me personally, it's just not one of my passions. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like, I'm not going to go out searching for Bigfoot. Now, I will say that about 2 hours from here, there's been a sighting of the Wendigo,
Oh, yeah.
and it's in a park called Algonquin Park. Now, is it true? I don't know. I would have to
Mm.
go up there and see it myself, but um,
I
it's
just
it's it's
watched
it's interesting. It's interesting stuff.
Yeah, I just watched the documentary on the Ozark Howler.
Not familiar with that one.
No, check it out. You could
Yeah.
type it into YouTube, and it's I think it's like maybe an hour long or whatnot, but it's pretty freaking wild because I believe the Ozarks cross over 4 states or 3 states or something like that, and uh, there's a few eyewitnesses that ran into this creature and whatnot, and it's supposed to look like a cat with like fucking horns and
Oh wow.
some wild shit, but it's supposed to be pretty wild. It's called the
Yeah.
Ozark Howler.
Yeah, I'm gonna look at that. They're today they're still discovering new species in the
Oh
ocean.
yeah. Yeah. Oh
So
yeah.
anything's possible. The Mothman,
Mm.
Is it possible? I would say not likely, but I was watching a video where, and this would be related to the Mothman, but I was watching a video on these bats that are like 8 feet long.
Mhm.
And is that what people are seeing? These big, huge
Yeah.
bats? And like they're literally bats. And like if I saw one, I would be taking off in the other direction
Oh,
for
hell yeah.
sure. But is that what people are seeing? Like the dog man,
Okay.
like,
I
you know,
that's the dog up in Michigan is a big thing on the dog man.
yeah, yeah.
And I've reached out to a few people to talk to about that, and I never got any good responses back.
Mhm.
I just I don't know much about it, but being open-minded, I want to hear the story. Tell me the
Yeah,
story on this dog man.
of course.
And
It's like the New Jersey Devil
oh,
that apparently exists. Like, is it true? Possibly, but I love to hear the
the
stories on it.
13th child, baby, the 13th child. Come on now.
Yeah, I don't but hey, listen, I love listening to people when they're talking about it for sure. For
Yeah,
sure. But, I'm for me personally, that's not my area of expertise, and I wouldn't go out searching for it because I don't know anything about it. And I've seen pictures of the Wendigo. I don't even think I'd want to be going in the same area if it's been seen there, because that thing could look like it could tear you apart in like 1,000 pieces.
right,
So, but the Wendigo started from a possible myth of
right.
two
It's
Indians.
it's like that. There's a video
You know,
that comes across sometimes on Facebook or Instagram or YouTube, and it looks like little tiny dinosaurs running across the beach, and people are like, "Oh my god, these fucking dinosaurs! There's real dinosaurs." You got to really focus in on that video because it's somebody playing video backwards of monkeys running across a beach. Because the way that their tails are, they look like little tiny dinosaurs
oh,
running
you know
across
what?
the fucking beach,
Well,
man.
let's be honest. It's really going to be. I would say in the next 5 years, it's
Hey,
really going to be difficult to determine what's real and what's not, especially with this
this
AI.
AI
So,
shit is
yeah,
blowing. It blows my mind. I
yeah,
I printed off some images that I used an AI art creator,
okay,
and the detail and the depth in these photos is it's mind-blowing, and it's
yeah,
scary as shit because if they can do this stuff, well, Joe Rogan talked about this on his podcast the other day that they're able to take AI and they could take your voice, the way that you sound, and generate it into perfect like French and things
mm,
like that, but using your sound, the way that
yeah.
you talk, and it's crazy. And they started
Well,
doing it with
yeah,
some old Hitler documentaries where they're taking Hitler's voice, the way he screams, and he's this
mm.
and that, and they translated it using AI into English, and you can hear his German accent in English talking.
The reasons why the actors were on strike, right?
Yeah.
Because they were going to be using their voice and their image through AI to put in commercials, to put in other movies, and all
Hmm.
this stuff without paying them. And they were using their likeness without paying them. So if they signed a contract with a certain studio and this is what the studio wanted, they weren't going to get paid for anything else. That's one of the main reasons why the actors were on strike. Was for that reason. But I'm telling you, you are not going to be able to tell the difference between something fake and something real in about 5 years, especially when it comes to paranormal.
Yeah.
You can kind of tell now. Like there's again, I'm going to refer to this guy
Yeah. Yeah.
and again, I won't mention his name, but he had a video out a couple of years ago where he had a paint can thrown at him now or thrown down the stairs or something. But if you watch closely to the video, it's actually in reverse.
Okay.
But you really have to look closely and you can see it. And the only reason why I know this because the vodcast that I have through the lens, Lex is very, very big into um um I won't say bashing videos, but definitely analyzing videos.
He's good
And
at debugging.
yeah, he's very, very good at debunking. He was a huge fan of this one group, and unfortunately one of their videos went viral. They became really popular. Now they're faking all their videos now. Again, I'm not going to say the name, but I was a fan of them at one point too, because they were doing real investigations. And then unfortunately, you know what happens? You
Money
become
comes into
YouTube
play, baby.
famous, the
Yep.
money, and
Yep.
you unfortunately, and this is the downside because of the fact that, yeah, they had a video go viral. They probably faked that video. They were probably faking other videos. Who knows? But now they do nothing but faking, but they're getting that money. And you have to keep up that persona of these videos, and they got to get bigger and better, because if you don't, you're going to fall right off the map.
Yeah.
That's the problem with YouTube when it comes to paranormal investigations. I wish there was a way, and we all talk about this as paranormal investigators. I wish there was a way that they would have to require these fakers to put into their description or somewhere in there saying this is for entertainment purposes only. None of this stuff is real. But
So
how can you do that? You can't.
there's no
So
way at all
there's
for
no
them to do
way.
that now.
There's no way to do that. I wish they would have regulated that at the beginning, maybe, and maybe things would be different. But unfortunately, and you asked the question, is it positive or negative? This is the real negative side of the paranormal, field of these fakers, because there's a lot of people, like the scientific people, that would really love to get money from the government and these grants, and really focus and really do the scientific stuff on spirits, but they can't get it because, let's be honest, the government really doesn't believe in it, or but the problem is these people that are faking are not helping us.
Gotcha.
So it's stuff like that. I know a lot of people would love to get grants to really deep dive and maybe do a documentary or something that's real, instead of it coming out of their own pocket. You know what I mean? So I did a documentary a couple of years ago that unfortunately still hasn't come out, but it will eventually. And but there's a lot of negative stuff when it comes to YouTube and paranormal investigations. And I
I
don't,
tell you,
and to be honest, I don't watch any of them anymore, because it doesn't interest me. So
now you said what's your take on the UFO UAP situations that have been going on? Do you follow any of that stuff at all, or are
yeah,
you just
I think the Miami one was. I think that personally, I think the Miami one was a hoax. To be
uh,
honest,
oh
the
yeah,
one in Las Vegas, though, the family that saw it in the backyard, that one intrigues me a little bit more,
yeah,
because you like, if you listen to their voices, if you
hmm,
listen to them talking, and you saw what you saw from that cop's camera, or
right,
their dash cam, and then you hear the voices, you listen to them, and were they after money? Who knows?
yeah,
But I'm sure that guy made money off that video, but they said that seemed real to me. That
hmm,
seemed like life, as
yeah,
it was, and it was intriguing. I'm a huge believer in UFOs. I believe we're not the only people
yeah.
here.
I
You know,
believe we're not the only thing in the universe.
yeah,
We're not alone. I tell
yeah,
you, who's a hell of a documentary artist is James Fox. James Fox has put together some amazing documentaries, and he's been working on a new one. And I
yeah.
follow him on Twitter, and he'll post a few pictures in the dungeon, working on some stuff. And but he has put out one, and Jeremy Corbell, he did
Mm,
the Bob Lazar one, which was really
okay.
really good too.
Yeah, yeah.
Jeremy put out a real good one.
Yeah, I think well, I think there was a TikToker that talked about, he did a video that he said he was there and he saw this big creature. Well, ended up he was called out. He was a liar. He lied. He even admitted he lied.
Oh, the Miami one.
Yeah, the Miami
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
He and his video went viral saying that he was there, he saw it. His video blew up, and then it came out a few days later that he lied.
I
So
saw a few different things on that. There was
yeah,
one where it looked like an angle shot from like a balcony of
yeah,
a hotel,
yeah.
and it's like, watch this, and they had the circle on the screen, and it's following, and there's like this giant shadow that's just like kind of,
Yeah, it was weird. It's like, well, I think when you're that high up and you see a person walking down the street, I think you would see their shadow. It would be
yeah,
bigger, would it not be? But
yeah,
it actually looked like I saw that video too. It actually looked like just a naked man walking down the street. Who
yeah,
knows? We're talking Miami here.
yeah,
Everything happens in Miami.
yeah.
So I yeah. So
There were a few different things I saw on there. I heard that it was all just mumbo jumbo and a bunch of
yeah,
kids causing a bunch of issues in a mall or some shit like
yeah,
that, and
yeah. I heard
it
that
just
too.
got out of hand, and it's crazy. And with everything going on today, it is hard to decipher, what's
Yeah.
real, what's not real. And like you said, we have these great, amazing phones with great cameras.
Mm.
Come on now. There is the chance of grabbing something that's not going to be pixelated, that's not going to be blurry, that's going to be clean
Mhm.
resolution that we can see and zoom in on.
Well, I think it was pretty cool that, one that came out a couple of years ago, those jet fighters that captured
Oh,
the UFO, that was incredible.
yeah.
That was fantastic,
That's
and
you got Commander Fravor and then
yeah,
Ryan Graves. Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
I mean, those guys saw that shit, and it's crazy because one was East Coast, one was West Coast. So it's
Yeah,
pretty
it's
wild.
hey, listen, I'm a true believer in the UFO, and I believe we're not the only ones in this,
Yeah,
I guess,
this expanse.
galaxy or whatever
Yeah.
whatever you wanna say, but what I what I will say, what I don't believe is that they've been here, they've been living on this planet for thousands of years or whatever it is. That I don't believe. And
I don't think they lived here, but I believe that they've been visiting.
oh yeah, for sure.
I
But
mean,
it
you look back to
yeah.
all the crap that has been around, all these hieroglyphics and all the designs and the images carved into stone and all these weird things that have come about over the years through,
Yeah.
archaeologists and digging through the jungle and different things and pyramid stuff. There is some weird shit that has been going on
Oh
for
yeah.
many, many,
Like
many
I'm
moons.
s- I'm sure you've watched TikTok and you see the time travelers as well.
Oh
You
yeah.
always see those guys, and I look at these guys and I just go, okay, dude, time to get back on your medicine.
Speaking
Okay.
of time
So
travelers, have you ever
yeah,
seen the photo? I think it's like the 1920s or whatever, and
yeah.
it's a guy standing in a crowd, and they're like, and they have it circled, and like, what the hell is he's on? And he's got like a phone to his ear and shit like
Yeah.
that.
Well, there was one, yeah, I've seen that. There's also another one where it was a boxing match, and the guy's in the
Yes.
crown holding a phone, a smartphone, and it
Yeah.
was like something like the '70s or something like that when this
Yeah.
picture was taken. It's
I don't know.
I will say this, Photoshop is very, very easy to do.
Oh, hell yeah, man.
So, I don't know, but you know what? This is what's great about the paranormal or everything under the umbrella.
Yeah.
There's so many unanswered questions
And that's what it's all
that
about.
I love. Yeah, that's what I love to do. That's what, like, I'm going on an investigation next week at a house, and she messaged me the other day, asked me if I can come out and do an investigation to find out what's there, because she got out of the shower and
Okay.
there was a handprint on the wall,
Hmm.
and she doesn't know where it came from. It's the first time she had seen it.
Does
So
she, does she live
yeah.
alone? I mean, like,
Well,
nope.
she's her daughter lives with her son lives with her, and her father lives with her, but where it was placed, it wasn't something you wouldn't put your hand there. Like, it was
Okay.
high enough that you go, okay, well, if you put your hand there, if you were leaning against the wall, maybe picking up something or whatever you may be doing, but it was really super high. And it's weird. It's weird. So, and they've heard voices and they've seen things, and so she wants me to come out to find out who's there. Now, the interesting thing, a couple of years ago or a year ago, I went out with them because a friend of hers unfortunately committed suicide and
Oh,
stepping in
shit.
front of a train. And the girl was 15 years old. So, and I'm getting chills just talking about this right now.
Yeah.
We actually went to the area
Mhm.
where she was hit by that train, and there's
Okay.
flowers there, and it's still been there for even over a year. They're still there. I actually started in SB7, and we captured her on the SB7.
Oh, wow.
It was and it was a real intense moment. It was her friend, obviously, who was there with me at that time, who her friend died, got some answers. And that's why I love doing house investigations as well,
Yeah.
because they get the answers. But sometimes you don't get the answers. And I'm not one of those people that, I think, and we've all heard this, that if you bring somebody in that's maybe a priest or somebody like that, sometimes, now for yourself, it was different, but for other people, it does the opposite. It
Right.
actually intensifies what's going on there. So I've never really been a big believer in bringing a priest in or
Mhm.
bringing a medium in to try to cross it over. I've just never been a believer in that. I think
What's your takes on
uh,
exorcisms?
um, that's now you're getting me into an area that, yeah, again, I be- God, again, okay, I'll say this. Uh, I think 90% of it's crap.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think and this is the thing, okay? For the problem with people that are not, and it's not their fault. It's not their fault at all. They're just not experienced. If they have something move in their place or something is thrown, they automatically think they have a demonic, or they think they have a poltergeist.
Mhm.
It's not the case on 99% of the time. It's usually just a pissed off spirit,
Right.
or something that's upset, or doesn't want you to do something, or you've done some renovations in your place that it hates.
Right.
Whatever it may be. Um, Exorcism, oh God. Exorcisms,
Man,
I try to
I
stay.
threw you through a loop on that one,
Yeah.
brother.
Yeah, you did actually. I'm just not a huge believer in that stuff. I think there's another reason why, or what's going on with that person. Now, the other 10%,
Yeah.
possibly true. I
Mhm.
know demonologists and I know exorcist people. Um, they talk a lot
Mhm.
about all this stuff, but never actually see them really do anything.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I'm again, I'm not a demonologist. I'm not
Yeah.
an exorcist. I believe that video of Carl, like we were talking about Bobby Mackeys earlier. I think
Yeah.
that video with Carl, I think I don't think he was possessed. I think he just had psychological problems. And
Yeah.
I think he was probably
Well, I
yeah,
think that might be a big thing also.
yeah, yeah,
Y it really is hard to say that these these so-called possessions, these people that are possessed go
yeah,
through some serious mental issues,
yeah.
and they're looking for a way maybe to let it off their chest, and they're going to act out in different ways, and then they get so intertwined with what they're doing that they don't know that they're doing it anymore, that
Yeah.
they continue to do it that way.
I'm not saying that I'm not saying at all like it's never happened.
Right.
And I'm sure it has, but for me personally, myself, I think a lot of times it's over exaggerated. And
Okay.
I think I'm gonna get in trouble for this. I know I am. Um I will say it at this.
Hey,
I'm
but
I'm neither
remember,
a demonol yeah.
this is
I'm
this is, people want to know things like this.
Yeah, I'm neither a demonologist or an exorcist, so I
We don't know.
really I just have my own little opinions, but
Right.
I think a lot of times 90% of it there's
And
another reason
and
why it's going on. So
and and I'm not doubting it. I'm
yeah,
just saying, everybody has their own take
yeah,
on things.
yeah, for sure.
Like I said before, let's keep an open mind.
Oh, of
We're
course, of
we're
course.
talking about whether or not th- is it actually happening? Is it
Yeah,
made up?
yeah,
Is there a good possibility that this can really happen?
yeah.
We honestly, the sad part is we don't know.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing.
Yeah, I truly believe, like, getting back to the Carl thing, I believe he had I believe he had schizophrenia. You know what I
Mm,
mean? And
yeah,
he was somebody that probably needed help, some kind of medication. Not that I'm a believer in medication, but because I don't like taking medication myself, and but who knows. And
yeah,
like you're right, John, like honestly, like with any interview that I've done through the past, I always keep an open mind.
yeah.
I've even had a skeptic on Through the Lens, and he called my SB7 a broken radio. But that's his opinion,
Right.
and I value his opinion. I believe everybody should have their own opinion, and there's nothing wrong with that. But
And
you know,
and I find that that's a big issue nowadays.
yeah,
People tend to they say what they want to say, and then people get butt hurt. And then they take offense to it, and
yeah,
then they don't want to talk to this person or that person. It's we're debating it. This is what it's about. Let's open up
yeah,
the box. Let's talk about A. Let's talk about B, and go from there. At the end of the day, let's shake hands and still be friends. But you have your opinion, I have mine.
yeah,
That's the way life
yeah.
is. I mean, it, it's. I mean,
Unfortunately, though, in this industry, in this field, paranormal field, or and I always say that unfortunately, paranormal field, but it really happens in any industry.
yeah,
Like as an actor, I see it.
yeah,
Um, but there's a lot of drama in this industry, and a lot of egos, and
yeah.
a lot of people fighting amongst each other, and but I've always been that type of person that I try to stay away from the drama. I don't go up online and bash other people
Right,
and say their names, and this person did this or that person did this, whatever it may be. I'm not that type of person, and there was a situation that happened a couple of months ago, and it kind of blew up, and they were bashing people, and it wasn't nice. And people are going, well, why aren't you going up online and defending yourself? Well, I'm not going to defend myself against lies.
right.
It's just it's not what I do, and it's not who I am. And that there I always find that people that go up and do that
Mhm.
are either bored, or they have nothing in their life going on, or they're jealous.
Yeah.
And yeah.
I got a lot of people that I've been doing the podcast now for a little over 6 months, and it's been going
Okay.
fantastic. I love doing
Yeah.
it. I love talking to people. I love meeting new people from all walks of life. I don't
Yeah.
care what color skin you are. I don't
Yeah.
care what religion you are, what background you have. If you got something interesting to tell me, I want to listen and hear your story. And
Mm.
then I have people that know me and they're like, "Oh, you're doing a podcast. That's all bullshit and blah 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 blah." So I made up a T-shirt that I have, and people can get it on my Printify shop,
Okay.
my store, and it
Yeah.
says everyday BS, and then it's over top. It says fuck the haters, keep on grinding.
Yeah. It's interesting. If you go to my Facebook profile, the top of my profile, and how are you for swearing on your
Oh,
podcast?
hey
Okay.
man, this is everything is marked R rated now.
Okay.
I
So I have a video of Dana White
hmm
pinned at the top of my profile in my pay on my Facebook page.
hmm
People can go over and look at it, and because it's so true.
Yeah.
Dana White talks about, now obviously you don't hear the question from the guy that's interviewing Dana White, but you get an idea
Mhm.
what the question was when you hear Dana's answer. This is how I look at it, okay? I don't give a fuck what people say about me. I really don't.
You
And
can't.
they can talk about whatever they want to talk about. My inner circle of friends know exactly who I am as a person
Right.
and what my goals are or what I do for other people. So say whatever you want. I don't care. I don't give a shit. And but there's people out there that get really upset if you don't respond.
Oh,
And
yeah, man.
they
You know
get
why?
so upset. Yeah.
It's that's the fuel they're looking for. That's
Yeah.
the thing that's like, "Oh, I got his attention, man. Now let's feed fucking fuel to the fire, and we're gonna light this bitch up." No, man. You know what? You say what you wanna say. I'm gonna keep on pushing what I'm doing. You know why? Because I'm reaching out to people. I'm making new connections. I'm meeting interesting people that have great stories and interesting stories, not just for me to listen to, but I have followers and subscribers that are clicking on and they're watching what I'm putting out because they're
Mm.
interested and they're liking what I'm doing.
Yeah.
If you don't like what I'm talking about or don't like what I'm saying, then hit that unsubscribe button and
Move
follow
along.
somebody else. I don't need it, but
Yeah.
I'm doing what I'm doing because I enjoy doing it. I enjoy
Yeah.
talking to people, meeting new people, talking to you. I feel like I've known you forever,
Yeah,
and
it's
you and
it's
I
been, yeah, it's been great.
and that's how it is, and that's how I
Yeah.
want it to be. I mean, meeting and talking to people now on this podcast has loosened me up. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, you go back to some of my other podcasts, I'm like a tight fucking turd, I'm like, I'm like, I print out questions,
Yeah.
I generate my questions to ask you, but I think I've asked you two off of this sheet of 25 questions. We're
Yeah,
just
there you
going
go.
with the flow, and that's the
Yeah.
way
It's the
it's
way it
been
should be.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's interesting, this thing had happened a couple of months ago, and and I said this to a few people. All the people that were up there that were bashing me and somebody else and a few other people they were bashing too. What I found interesting about all of it, all of those people at one point wanted something from me.
Right.
And because they didn't get it or they didn't think they got enough of it, they do all this stuff.
Yep.
And I did, and obviously I don't care about the video. I didn't watch it.
Mm.
I don't care what they say. But I do have a problem. One problem I do have is when you're getting my personal life involved.
Right.
And that's stepping over the line. So, but anyways, the bottom line is, like I said earlier, I don't give a crap what people say about me. I just don't care. I'm going to continue doing my thing. I'm going to continue supporting teams and supporting locations and building Parapost Network Central and Through the Lens and a few other podcasts that I do. And I'm going to continue doing my thing. I'm going to continue doing the acting. I'm going to continue being who I am as a person. And if you don't like it, like you said, John, go
Yeah.
away. Go away.
So, what do you got coming up? You got anything big you want to tell people that are going to hear this? And, I'll make sure that at the end of this, in my descriptions and everything too, I'll have a link to everything for you, brother. I'll have a
Yeah.
link to all your stuff. And if
Yeah,
you
I
have
can
anything
send you.
extra, yeah,
Yeah, I got a link tree. I got a link tree that I can send you the link. I'm not sure if I sent it to you. I think I did. But I got a link tree and they can find everything in there.
awesome.
Wherever I am. And the next big thing for me will be that private residential home next week. And then
Nice.
after that, I'm going to be doing the Global Ghost Hunt. What I'm going to be doing, this is going to be a cool location that I'm doing. It's actually, I was there in November doing a walkthrough. I did a live on Facebook, but it's a graveyard for cars.
Oh,
Now,
sweet.
a lot of these cars have been in horrible, horrible accidents. And unfortunately, people
Oh,
have died in these cars. And there's trucks there. There's all kinds. I think there's over 2,000 vehicles in this place. Like there's trucks. And there's one cool moment when I was doing my walkthrough back in November. And that's why I decided that I was going to do it for the Global Ghost Hunt. At one point, I had the SB7 on a well, I'll give you two stories. There's one, the SB7 was on front of a truck, okay, on the hood. And I asked, now the color of the truck was red, okay, but I asked the color, what is the color of this truck that we're standing in front of? I got blue. Well, what's really cool about that, underneath the red, it
Was
was
blue.
blue.
Oh, that's cool, man.
Now, there's another situation where I was with a few people that are going to be there at the investigation that I'm going to be doing for the Global Ghost Hunt. John went over and stood beside a car, and I said to him, or in front of a car, and I said to him, "What is the color of the car that John is standing in front of?" It said yellow. It wasn't yellow, but the car next to him was yellow. So it's really cool. And I actually saw a spirit beside a car when I was walking. I looked to my left and there was a spirit standing right beside a car. We went down there. We started asking questions. Is there something personal in this car that you need? We got a response, yes. We don't know what was in the car, or maybe the person that died in that car loved that car so much and that's why it's still there. Who knows?
Oh
But we're
yeah,
going to
man.
be doing an
Trust me.
investigation.
I'm a car fan. Yeah, I've
Yeah.
had old cars, and I've had 51s, 52s, 66s.
Yeah.
You know, I love cars. And if you're connected to something, you know, it doesn't matter what it is. There's always a connection to something. But I loved my old cars, and I hated getting rid of them. You know, it's like
Yeah.
getting rid of like a child almost. You know,
Yeah, exactly.
you put your blood, sweat, and tears
And your
into
money.
this, and your money.
And your money.
My buddies used to call it, you know, they call old car a wallet with wheels, brother. That's all it
Yeah.
was a wallet with
Well,
wheels.
it always scares me when they tell when I go to a salesperson and you know we talk about, like, I'm looking at exchanging my car right now, and
Gotcha.
I have a Murano. I have a 2020 Murano.
Okay.
And so I'm looking to, and you know, the great thing, I spoke to my sales guy and he said, how many kilometers are on? I go, it's 29,000 for 4 years. So, but I live in Toronto, so you don't really need to drive anywhere in Toronto.
Right.
But yeah, so he's really happy about that. But yeah, so this car graveyard, and it's absolutely incredible, and that is going to be my next big investigation, and will be
Oh
shown
yeah,
in the
man.
Global Ghost Hunt. And if people want to find out more information about the Global Ghost Hunt, globalghosthunt.com, and you can find out more, especially if you want to join your team. Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. Global Ghost Hunt is a lot of fun to do. It's a lot of time. Like
Yeah.
I sit here in front of the computer on every investigation that goes up, and so it's usually about 50 to 60 hours of watching investigations.
Wow.
So yeah, but it's a lot of fun though. It's a lot of fun. You learn a lot because you see other teams doing what other teams are doing, right, during their investigation. And you pick up a few things here and there. Oh shit,
Oh
maybe
yeah.
I'll try that on my investigation, you know?
Oh
And
yeah.
like I was in the UK a couple of years ago and I did 11 investigations over 14 days. And
What part of the UK were you in?
I was all over the UK,
Okay.
Southampton, London, Milton Keynes, and I was all over. And Stock, I think it's Stock, Nottingham, because we did the
Okay.
Sherwood Forest, which
Oh
was
man.
absolutely incredible.
I've seen some stuff on that, and
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, that's
That
there's
tree, those videos are going to be coming out. Those videos are
oh,
going to be coming out soon. But we did, like, Sherwood Forest. The place is incredible, and we captured something amazing off the SB7 in the Sherwood Forest. But the tree that's there, it's over 1,000 years old, and it's absolutely incredible. A lot of spirits around that tree, and you know,
you
we asked about
wonder
the Robin
how
Hood
much
story.
shit. Yeah, you
Yeah.
wonder how much shit went down around that tree. That's the whole,
Well,
you know.
you know, we asked about the Robin Hood story because there is some truth to the Robin Hood story.
That's what I
And
heard.
yeah, and we asked questions about Robin Hood. Apparently, he hid himself in that tree not to be killed, and we got that on the SB7. And but you know, like, it's absolutely incredible. UK, completely different from North America.
Oh, I
Completely
bet.
different from North America. and but an amazing place. Yeah, so a lot of stuff coming out, soon, and with Global Ghost Hunt and my investigation next week. I might go live for that investigation next week, so you'll be able to find that on Facebook, on Parapost and Huntophobia and stuff like that. So page, but when the people click on that link, they can see everywhere where
Awesome.
I am. Okay.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Bryan-jon, I want to thank you so much, brother, for hanging
Thank
out with me today, shooting the
Yeah.
shit and
This was
everything.
fun. This was
Yeah,
fun, man.
dude.
This
Yeah,
is one of the best times that I've had in a long time on a podcast or a podcast. It's been a long time. I've been on a lot, but this one, I'd say it's right up there, buddy.
oh, sweet, man. Well, that
Yeah.
means a lot to me. Like I'm
Yeah.
doing something fucking right now.
Yeah, that's great, man. I love
But
it.
seriously, man, I deeply appreciate it. I'll have all your links and stuff like that in the description and everything. And
Yeah.
you know, and it's globalghosthunt.com, right? Am I right?
Yes.
Yeah, man. So
Yeah.
anybody out there who's interested, you know, check out Bryan-jon at globalghosthunt.com. Well, I just want to say thanks again, brother. And
Thank
to
you.
everybody out there, talk to you later.